Well, hi class. In week 3, we look at the sphere and drapery, and particularly how light plays across these forms, and how the figure-ground relationship is established through cast shadow, through the connection of the flowing drapery onto the baseline plane that it's sitting on, and the use of light. And light, a strong light source, turning edge. We see here a really nice turning edge, reflected light, where it's actually picking up reflected light from other sources, turning edge, and with a baseball, the curve of the form, these pieces of leather that are kind of figure eight shapes stitched onto the form. There's bits of irregular jumps, so when we're looking at reflected light, we might get a little hit here and a little hit here across those slightly irregular surfaces, and using overlapping really creatively to establish depth. Like this bit of drapery and that baseball sitting back in the distance creates a sense of depth. The diagonal line here pulls the eye in. We're flowing across all these forms up and through the flowing drapery. We're getting bits of light. All these things are part of the composition that carry the eye through the form. In this one, very dark blue fabric and really nice strong light source, picking up all those really highlight accents there, bits of real light areas, and the crinkling of the fabric and strong shadow really burying the forms into the depths of the flowing fabric creates a strong figure-ground relationship. And the diagonals and curves in the composition, this back area, pulling the eye in, balances this light area, balances this triangular pyramid grouping of the object. So not only are we looking for how to develop form and direction of lights coming from here, the highlight, the turning edge, you see the core of the shadow. I've really developed those in these forms. Bits of reflected light, just kind of really popping the form into 3D space. Check out that little highlight there. These real strong core of shadow, developing turning edge. And this is a softer, less dramatic lighting, although there's very sort of subtle glow. And of course, I'm using paint here, but the same principle applies in drawing. And again, flow of the composition, the hot spots, the highlights, right? Little areas of turning edge where it gets a little bit lighter before you get into a dark fold. Here we have a turning edge where it's a little bit darker. I mean, if I convert this to grayscale, we'll see that again distinctly. And then using, again, backspace, division of space, overlapping forms, curves, the connection between the flowing drapery and the base panel that it's sitting on. Here's another example, light on light. Again, very dramatic cast shadows here, very strong, powerful light source. Drapery, very subtle. This was white fabric, or kind of a cream-colored fabric, transparent, like see-through, almost like mesh netting, and overlapped a couple of times. And so we get these very interesting kind of double cast shadows going on, also a double light source. Think about your light source. If there's more than one light source, there will be more than one cast shadow. There's a strong overhead, dramatic cast light, creating the stronger center of the cast shadows, and then a secondary light source where we're getting a different play of light happening. Look for all the details setting up your drawings. Curve, composition, using both curves, diagonals, plane of the ground that it's sitting on, turning edge, cast shadow, hot spots. The cast shadows are more subtle in this particular painting. And in this one, the folds of the drapery very much playing into the composition, right? They narrow out here. This highlight, reflected light I should call it, this is a reflected light, and the core of the shadow here pull the eye to the foreground. This cropping pulls the eye into the foreground, overlapping forms, lots of places for the eye to travel around. The eye loves to take a little tour through composition. So give your viewers that opportunity and make a really strong composition. All right, so these are the assignments that we're working on. These are concerns focusing in week 3 that I've done in my painting. So I hope this is helpful, and use